Welcome to episode number 5. Thanks for joining. Before I start today's show, I wanted to apologize for my mistake from last week's episode. At the top of the show, I had said congratulations to all those that had viewed and listened to the different episodes throughout the month of November. Congratulations that you had made it and all these things. And lo and behold, we are in the 5th week of November. Today is November 29th. And so I didn't realize there was one more week left. So not that it really affects you at all, but I just, for my own sake, wanted to apologize for that. But that brings me to my next point. Tomorrow is the very first day of December. So that means tonight at 12 a.m., Christmas music. I have this silly rule where I don't listen to Christmas music throughout the whole year. I wait till the very first day of December at 12 a.m. I'm sure there's millions of others just like me, but it so happens that all of my friends are not like that. So, or maybe just one or two, but that's about it. So I'm excited about that. But anyway, welcome to episode number 5. Today there's no guest except myself, so moi. Thank you. I wanted to talk a little bit about what we've been covering in the last 4 episodes. We started with Abraham Laborio Sr. and finished last week with Alberto Salas. One of the questions that I asked every individual was, what does value mean to you? Now, before I give the answer to that, to what they said, I'm sure you noticed that throughout the show or shows, I've asked similar questions to every individual. They've kind of, been different, structured differently throughout each show, but I always come back to the same questions. Now, I do that for the reason that every individual is different. Not every individual gives the same responses, and obviously not every individual thinks the same. And so that's why you see me do that throughout each episode, because I want to identify what does this person think that's different from the last guest, or even, different from what I think, so on and so forth. One of the questions we covered was, what does value mean to you? And in the words of Derek Cobbs, value means everything. Why do I say that, and why does he say that? Because it's the truth. Now, first, you have to identify, what does value mean? Value doesn't just mean what you do professionally. It means knowing your worth as an individual first, knowing what you bring to the table, knowing your character, your personality, your integrity, all these, identifying different things and identifying your morals and your ethics, realizing what's important to you, what's not. Value is not just something that we take into consideration when we're taking a job. It's simply, we take that job because obviously we feel like we're going to be valued at a certain level. We're going to be respected. We're going to be taken care of in a certain way because of what we do professionally. I would say that, no one, let's talk a little bit for musicians, and mostly because I'm a musician myself. Nobody wakes up being able to play the drums, piano, guitar, bass, any of these instruments and say, you know what, I know how to play everything. I can play any different style, any different genre, any different time signature. Nobody does that. So how do we get to that level? Well, obviously we have to spend time being able to perfect our craft, the God-given ability that we have. We have to spend time in doing that. I'll say for myself as a drummer, I don't just wake up and say, you know what, I know how to play quarter notes. I know how to play eighth notes or 16 notes or this groove or that groove or whatever it might be. I had to spend hours upon hours trying to perfect that one thing. And even then, it doesn't always come out perfect when I have to try and do it at a professional level. I make mistakes just as better musicians and top professionals make mistakes. It happens all the time. But being able to come back and say, you know what, I'm going to improve, and constantly motivate yourself and push yourself to that next level. Because if you don't do it to yourself and you wait for others to do it, especially in today's world, you might not ever get that opportunity. So value means everything. Value is important in your life, and you should always take that into account when taking a job or any opportunity. Sometimes you might not get paid the rate that you want, but it's an investment. It might reap better benefits for you in the future. Sometimes it's if you take a gig or some type of a job position and it doesn't pay well again. Let's say that that's the case. You have friends that are there, and the friends that you're going to be with are optimistic. They're positive. They always uplift your spirit if you get discouraged easily, whatever the case might be. So there's different ways of identifying value in any situation, but being able to first identify value within yourself, what it is you bring to the table, what it is that you feel that you're worth, is always going to be something very important, because if you don't do that, people are going to take advantage of you. So um, another thing that we covered was priorities. I asked everybody, how do you prioritize your life? Many people would say God first, family second, then church if they're in the church world, or God first, my family, and then my job, so on and so forth. Some people would say, family and friends, whatever the case might be, identify what is important to you. Identify what are your priorities, because if you don't do that, you're going to be jumping from one thing to the other, and then you're going to realize you have nothing. It's always important to prioritize those things that have been important to you from the very beginning. If that's family, keep family at the forefront. Keep them involved in your projects. Keep them involved in what you're trying to do in your life, in your career. Even the goals that you set, if they can help you, they're going to help you if they love you. That's just number one rule of family. They're there to support you. They're there to encourage you in your life. And so uh, prioritize, but learn what you're prioritizing, if that makes sense. One other thing that we covered throughout the show is how to not burn yourself out. Now, what I mean by that is sometimes we get tired of doing the very thing that we love. That can be anything, that any career that we've chosen, any instrument that we love to play. It's important to be able to know when to take a break, know when to rest a bit, know when to just relax and say, you know what, I'll get back to this, because you don't want to hate the very thing that you love. If your passion is music, you don't want to do it so much to the point that you get fed up with and you don't want to do it ever again. Or you get discouraged and the results that you are hoping for are not getting there. It's important to identify, okay, it's time to take a break. It's time to reevaluate, how to best improve, how to get better at what I'm trying to do, and start up again. For a lot of worship musicians that I know, that's one of the questions that I always ask them. I said, do you ever feel burned out from playing at the church? And many people will say, yeah, I do. It's the same deal every week. It's the same type of message, same type of people, especially if it's with people that you don't necessarily enjoy being around. That can get old really fast. So identify. Maybe that's it. Maybe what you need is a change of environment. Maybe playing somewhere else. Maybe it's talking to people. Maybe it's reaching out to a mentor and say, how do I overcome this feeling of feeling burnt out, because I don't want to hate the very thing I love. At least I don't. And so I'm assuming for many of us it's the same situation. So covering these three things and many more things that we covered throughout the show were very important to me and very a part of what I am trying to accomplish in this show. And that's basically to share as much as I can with you guys, the listeners, what these people have to say. They have so much wisdom and knowledge and just understanding of different situations and different circumstances that it's best just to reach out to them and say, you know what do you think about this? How can I make the situation better? How can I improve on this? How can I move forward and achieve my goal? And it's best to talk to the people that have already done that. You don't want to preach about something that you haven't experienced yourself. So it's important to be able to identify these things and say, you know what, I need help, and it's okay to get help. It's not ever a bad situation to ask too many questions. One of my all-time favorite basketball players in the world. I personally think he's the best, but that's because I grew up watching him. Kobe Bryant, number 24 and number 8. He said Mamba mentality, And I have yet to buy the book, but I this is one thing that I love that Kobe said. Mamba mentality didn't just start when I was playing basketball at professional level. It started when I was a kid. It started by asking questions. Why is this way? Why do you have to keep doing this? Why is repeating this so important? Why is this waking up early at 4 a.m. or eating a healthy diet important to my career, to my longevity in basketball? All these different things that Kobe would ask, and I'm like, man, this guy is amazing, at what he does, and it showed through 5 championships. How many different games he scored 30 plus points. I don't even want to get started on basketball because I love it so much, but it's important to continuously be inspired by people that we admire, people that we look up to, because it pushes us to a new level, especially if we feel stagnant or we feel like we've reached a stationary point in our lives. It's important to always search for new truth, search for new opportunities to grow. And so we can't do that if we don't ask questions, and there's nothing wrong with asking questions. There's nothing wrong with going to somebody and say, how did you accomplish that? Why did you do it that way? How can I do it that way? So on and so forth. So covering these different topics, I hope you guys have been able to learn several new things, and hopefully it's inspired you in a new way. I appreciate everybody that has reached out to me and acknowledged the show and told me how much it's helped them or blessed them, or even just created a whole new perspective. Some of these people that have reached out to me, I really care for and are personal friends of mine, and I thank you guys for doing that. And I hope for you new listeners and viewers, if you feel the same way, please feel free to reach out. Feel free to let me know what you think about the show, how much it's helping you, or what you think that I should change, or what you want to see more of. I'm open to, restructuring the show. It's not something where I'm stuck in my ways and say, you know what, I don't have anything else to change because my show is perfect, because it's definitely not. But I hope that it's helped many of you guys that are trying to, move forward in your life and in your career. And hopefully it's inspired you. That's really the goal of this show, is to inspire you to search for new opportunities in your life, in your career, in whatever you're trying to do. And so this episode, really short, straight to the point. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Episode 6 comes out next week. I want to say that we're going to be trying out something new. Hopefully it works. I'm not sure how it's going to pan out just yet, but we're going to try a video Skype session pretty soon, and we'll see what happens. Episode 6 comes out next week. See you guys later.